Hey, what's up? Welcome everybody. My name is Takara Sophia Blaze. I know, long ass government, but you guys probably know me better as Dat Halfbreed on Twitch, and I'm here today to talk about my fifth place placing with Buggy, the genius jester, of course, and that's at the Egman half case tournament that happened earlier this week. And I had a really great time. I got 5th just due to breakers, which was sad. I almost made top 4, but we'll take the 5th. We'll take it. And I think post STs, this deck is in a really good spot, actually. So I want to show you guys my list and talk about it and explain why I played what I played. So, first off, we got to start talking about the big hitters. The reason why this deck works in the first place. And that is the fantastic combo of 7-drop Buggy, Croc Mihawk, and the 7-drop Crocodile. Now, people are like, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, you could cut some Crocodile, you could cut some Buggy. The Crocodile Mihawk is the really good card. And my take is no, do not cut anything. This deck does not work unless you're playing the full 12 copies of these characters. Because these are the characters that let you play 2 characters in a turn. And that's how this deck works, is by playing 2 characters in a turn, 2 characters in a turn, and then you follow it up with good old 10-drop Buggy. So this is the core of the whole deck. This is why the deck works. You're trying to set up one of these into another one of these into Buggy. That's the absolute best thing your deck can do. 2 characters, Buggy. Now before you only had, when the deck only had 1, like the only way you had to do was Crocodile, it was just really not that great. When you gained 2, the deck got better, but still a little tough, still a little inconsistent. Now that you have 3, the deck really starts to roll and rumble. And each of these is good in different matchups. Like, Croc Mihawk is best against Lucci. This, of course, is really good against Bello Betty and other aggro decks. And this Crocodile is actually really good in matchups where it's important to attack. Like if you're playing against Shanks or Whitebeard or even Green-Purple Luffy, where you just need to get more attacks in and actually race. Because this is the primary one where you get 2 good attackers. So, of course, we can talk about these a little bit more when, like, what they combo with. But I need to talk about Buggy a little bit because this card is really degenerate. Like, I need you to understand that this card, it needs the downside, right? It needs the downside that it has. If you just played a 10-12 that bottom decks any character your opponent has, it would be way too good. It would be way too good. And so having that like setup is what helps make it balanced, but it's still a really insane card. And curving out into Buggy wins you so many games because you get rid of their best guy and you play a really good guy on your side of the field. So next we have the kind of pieces. What I like to call them is the other half of your combo pieces, right? So you have your three I don't know what to call them, your 3 double character players, and they each have a card that works best with them. Right? For the Buggy, you have Mihawk, the 6-drop blocker Mihawk. Buggy plays out the Mihawk really good. You get a blocker and stop your opponent's attacks. This is your best anti-aggro plan, right? The Crocodile Mihawk, of course, plays the brand new Alvita, which is really powerful. These 2 together draws you a lot of cards. Draw 5, discard 3 is so insane. It means that your hand is always perfect whenever you need it. And then, of course, for the 7-drop Crocodile, we have the Mr. 1. Now, there's only 3 copies of this Mr. 1 for a couple of different reasons. The main one being Mr. 1 can only get played off of this Crocodile. Can't get played off of this Buggy because it's not cross-guild. And it can't get searched off of the Event Searcher, which is also awkward. So one of the only changes that I would make to this deck, like I really like the deck list, but one of the only changes I'm considering making is swapping out these Mr. 1s for this vanilla 5/7 Mr. 1. And that's because he's cross-guild and Baroque Works, so you could play him off of the Crocodile or the Buggy, and you can find him off of both your searchers. So I'm considering making this swap, but the draw card feels really good. And it is important to still just have a 5-drop that you can put into play sometimes, right? Because sometimes you have these characters like the Alvida that is a 4 cost, but you need 2 other 5 costs in play for it to become a 5 cost itself. So sometimes you just have to be able to play something that actually costs 5, so you can follow it up with a Buggy that doesn't bottom deck itself, right? So playing Mr. 1 and then using your leader ability for 5 to cast Buggy is still pretty good. Still pretty good, and something that I have done and do regularly. Okay. So now we just have the 2Ks. So these new 2Ks that they added with the starter decks are so strong. The Kabaji and the Emoji, they're both 2K blockers that are perfectly fine to put into play off of one of your effects. You know, you'd prefer not to play these guys, but sometimes you have to just because you need to add stuff on the board, right? Kabaji is a 6K blocker, which is really strong in the early game, and Moji is a blocker that draws you a card, which is really, really strong in the late game. There's several games that I won just off of blocking with Moji and drawing additional cards. And then lastly, we have 4 more 2Ks. I'm not sure which one is better to play. This Moji searches for a Richie, the Richie blocker, and this Kabaji can't be KO'd in battle if you have a Buggy in play. So I'm not sure which of these is better, but I do think you really need the full set of 12 2Ks, because you really have to be able to defend your board early so that you can get the full 5 characters and play Buggy. So I have 12 2Ks. It's up to you whether you want to play Kabaji or Moji. I'm just playing a split of these to test it out, see which one works better. Alright. And then now we have our searcher pieces. So it's 4 Mr. 3 and 3 Cross Guild. Now it's only 3 Cross Guild just because I didn't want to have too many counterless cards in the deck. The 4th Cross Guild would make it 20 counterless cards in the deck, which can be pretty rough sometimes. But you really just need to assemble your 2-card combos, right? You really want to hit Crocodile plus Mr. 1, Croc Mihawk plus Alvida, or Buggy plus Mihawk. And so I'm just playing searchers and no Sanji's Pilaf, because like how many cards in hand you have doesn't really matter nearly as much as what specific cards you have in hand. So it's much more important to find the other half of the combo that you're missing than to just have raw more cards in hand, right? So that's why I think there's a debate between maybe playing 4 and 4 Cross Guild, but I think that both the stage and Sanji's Pilaf are kind of traps, just because like you don't really care about having individual cards in your hand. Stage is a little bit more tempting because you can use it repeatedly, but I'd still rather just look at the top 4 and find something. And the fact that this has trigger also is very strong. I've had the trigger happen to me multiple times to help find another 2K and stay alive and stuff like that. All right, and then lastly, I honestly think that like those 46 cards of the deck can't and should not be changed. Like these 46 cards are exactly what you should play, and these last 4 cards are the kind of flex slots depending on what you want to be better against specifically, right? Like, again, the only other thing I would change is you could maybe play the vanilla Mr. 1 instead of this, but you should still be playing 3 copies at least of a 5-cost Mr. 1, right? Like, you should be doing that. And so these last 4 cards are the flex slots, kind of. Richie is just a searchable cheap blocker, and the one thing this deck is kind of missing is things to do before you hit 5 Dawn. So this is really good to play on your 2 or 3 Dawn turn, and also really good later on in the game. I won a game against Bello Betty and one other game in the 7-round event, just because I had an additional blocker to put down, right? Like, I was able to go pay 7 for a Crocodile, play a Mr. 1, and then also play a Richie blocker. Or I was able to pay 5 for my Buggy, bottom deck something, and then after the Buggy stays on the battlefield, I play a Richie after to make sure I don't die. And Pudding also won me a game against Bonney. Pudding's just really nice against those decks that can get really big hand sizes. It's really best against 8-drop Kid decks and Gum Gum Giant decks. Because against those 2 decks, you can, you know, if they have 8-drop Kid and they pass, you can Pudding to try and cut down their total 2Ks in hand. Because if they play the 8-drop, they've probably been stacking 2Ks. And against Gum Gum Giant, obviously, if you're trying to go for game, you can just play Pudding, and it's a little bit of a gamble, but, you know, you can cross your fingers and be like, hopefully they don't draw another Gum Gum Giant again, right? You're trying to shuffle the Gum Gum Giant into their deck and hope that they don't draw the same one back, or maybe they have 2 up and you hope, oh, if I shuffle it away, they'll only have 1. So these are kind of the cards that are flex slots. You don't have to play these. I really like Richie. Pudding has been awkward a lot of times. There's a lot of matchups where they won't ever have more than 5 cards in hand. But if you want to make any changes to the deck, it would be these 4 cards. A lot of people have been asking me, like, why don't you play the 4-drop Buggy? And I was playing 1 single copy of the 4-drop Buggy in my tournament. I only had 2 Cross Guild Searchers, and I was playing 1 Buggy just to test it out, and I really didn't like it. I never once had it come up where I had Buggy and something decent to play with it, and Buggy's kind of in an awkward spot where it's only really worth playing and activating this card if you have a 6-drop to put out with it. You know, like, you can't even play the Mr. 1 because it's not Cross Guild. So you'd have to swap to the vanilla if you want to play this card right now, because it's just too hard to set up, right? Like, you might think that, like, oh, but the other cards, they only work if you have something to combo with, but all the other cards are much more flexible, right? Like, this 7-drop Crocodile, it's best if you play the Mr. 1. But even if you don't have Mr. 1, you can play one of the 2K blockers off it, because it's Cross Guild or Baroque Works. You can play Alvida off of it. There's things that aren't optimal, but they still work, right? And it's the same thing with Buggy and Crocodile Mihawk, right? The 7-drop Buggy, you can still play Alvida, you can still play a blocker. Crocodile Mihawk, you know, if you don't have Alvida, you can still play any of the 2K blockers. And Buggy only really has 1 card that it can play, and that's the 6-drop Mihawk. And that's just not enough. It's a little too hard to set up. And playing a card in your deck that's a 1K counter 95 to 99% of the time and does something cool sometimes is just not quite enough. I've been talking to other people, and I think that this card will make a comeback in OP12. Because in OP12, there's another 6-drop Cross Guild character that you can put into play off this. And then at least there's 8 copies that you can play of cards you can play with Buggy and not just 4. And if you want to play the Buggy, then I highly recommend playing the vanilla Mr. 1 instead of the extra booster Mr. 1, because you need to have something that's cross guild. It can only play cross guild, and the extra booster Mr. 1 is not cross guild. So you gotta remember that, gotta keep that in mind. All right. So that's my deck list. I went 6-1 in the 7-round tournament. My only loss was getting aggro down by Whitebeard. So aggro decks, you can struggle against aggro decks that don't get affected by Buggy. So like Lim will be a hard matchup. Whitebeard's a hard matchup. Can't think of anything else right now. But like Animal Zoro is fine, right? Aggro decks that have a tough time dealing with the 7-cost Buggy are fine. But the worst matchup in the format by far for Buggy right now is Green Purple Luffy. They have a really scary mix of a card you can't really get rid of until they hit 10 drop with Sanji Pudding, a rush character that can attack twice, and Electric Luna. Electric Luna is so bad for this deck. It hits everything in your whole deck except for 10 drop Buggy and the 8-drop Crocodile Mihawk. So you have to be really scared of Luna really messing your day up. And I won against Green Purple Luffy in the event, but it was kind of a fake win because my opponent didn't know one of the key interactions that can win the game quite often. So the 7-drop Buggy stops cost 3 and 4 characters from attacking, but it's not base cost. So if the Green Purple Luffy player has a Zoro Juro, and then they activate the stage, right, the Merry-Go stage, and they make their Zoro Juro a 6 cost, it can now attack through this Buggy. And you will lose games to that. I should have lost my matchup against Green Purple Luffy, but he didn't know that he could use stage to buff his Zoro and attack and kill me. Even though I was at 0, and if he attacked with it, I lose. But he didn't know, and I was able to win that game because of it. So be aware of that interaction. And yeah, one of the only reasons why I think this deck is not like a clear tier 1 top 5 leader is because of how good, how strong, and how popular Green Purple Luffy is. If they do end up banning Gum Gum Giant, one of the biggest winners I think is going to be this Buggy deck. This deck is very scary, very consistent, and very aggressive. Crocodile Mihawk is an insane card, dude. Crocodile Mihawk is so insane. The fact that it protects your entire board and itself just by discarding one card is so nutty. So many times people would be like, so can you read Crocodile Mihawk for me again? It doesn't protect itself, does it? It does, man. It's so insane. So this card wins you your black matchups. This card wins against Blue Purple Luffy as well. If you're playing against Blue Purple Luffy and you get this card in play, they can almost never beat you. I swear. Blue Purple Luffy is a really good matchup for this deck. You win so consistently. All you have to do is get a Crocodile Mihawk into play and you should win the game every time. And even if you can't, it's still likely to win just because of how good 10-drop Buggy is in that matchup as well. 10-drop Buggy is a really, really, really big problem for them because if you bottom deck their Katakuri blocker, it makes life very, very, very awkward. So like the combo of those two cards makes the matchup really favored. And that's one of the main reasons why I like playing this deck right now too, is because of how favored you are against quote-unquote the best deck in the format, Blue Purple Luffy. So I hope that gives you an idea of the Buggy deck, why I like it, how I got my 5th place. I hope you'll try it as well. And the one strat I can have for you, again, last time I'll say it, is with Buggy, your plan should be every game to play 2 guys, 10-drop Buggy. That should be your plan every game. And if you can do that, You will win many, 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 many games. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Don't mess around with other stuff. Don't try and play like Raging Tiger, Sanji's Pilaf, Sables. Interacting with your opponent's board is fake. Don't do it. Just play your 5 characters and kill them, alright? That's my plan. Thumbs up for Buggy, the real Pirate King. The true Pirate King. Bro, I want so bad for the finale of One Piece to be Teach and Luffy beating the shit out of each other, and then secretly Buggy just sneaks away in the background with the One Piece. That's my canon. Buggy, the future holder of the One Piece, hopefully. And I hope you guys will check me out on my stream at DatHalfBreed on Twitch. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys will watch my future tournament runs. I'll upload my tournament run to YouTube, and I'll see you guys around, alright? Sail the 7 seas. Don't forget, be a pirate means breaking the rules sometimes. Much love, everybody, alright? Have a good one.